Okay, folks, we have returned. It's now time to start the next case in Crimson Banks. This is case number 32. Civil Blood. These are treacherous times for Crimson Banks, Matthew. The once peaceful quarter has been plunged into all-out gang war between the Irish and the Italians. No sooner had Franca Capesci declared war on the Irish to avenge her husband's death. We find an Irish casualty on the Italian side of the river. And though we don't yet know who it is, we've learned that the Irish have a new leader who may well be hatching their own plans this very instant. Botheration, Matthew. I just received word that Papa Mario Fortuna, a prominent figure in the Crimson Banks community, has been found murdered. People will be knocking on my door before long, which is frankly unacceptable. You must nip this in the bud, Matthew. Mr. Fortuna's body was found in the marketplace. You better hurry before it opens for the day. Then let's proceed to the market square at once, Matthew. We have a crime scene to secure. Okay, I have the cat equipped. And I'm ready to go. Oh boy. There we go. Just got the first star. Just got enough. The chief is correct, Matthew. Papa Mario Fortuna has been murdered. The body evidently was brought here in that wheelbarrow, meaning Mario was murdered elsewhere. Perhaps one of the clues you found will lead us to another crime scene. That pile of broken metal may have fallen from the wheelbarrow. Reassembling those pieces could give us a lead. And someone was rather careless, misplacing this fancy silver pendant in the market. Let's examine those carvings to determine who it belongs to. Whatever the motive for Papa Mario's murder and this macabre display, it will do nothing to ease tensions in Crimson Banks. We must get to the bottom of this before either gang catches wind of it. And I got the first star, so I'll take the silver carvings first. I do admit these cases are getting harder and harder, in a sense. Veronica Rochester. This pendant you found on the marketplace seems to have been custom-made for a certain Veronica Rochester. So our paths cross again. We haven't encountered anyone from the Rochester dynasty since Leopold Rochester during the World Exhibition. At least this explains the expensive piece of jewelry. After all, they are the most affluent family in Concordia, but I wouldn't expect Mrs. Rochester to be so careless with her valuables. Nevertheless, if Mrs. Rochester had frequented the market where our victim was killed, speaking with her could assist our inquiries. Didn't share it. Well, I gotta get some stars anyway, so sit tight, folks. Okay, I have myself 6 stars. Pardon me, Mrs. Rochester. Senior Trooper Matthews from the Flying Squad. We found your pendant in the marketplace and... Ah, you're the people who dealt with my son's misbehavior. Archibald's been in Switzerland for months, learning about finance so he can take over my business. That boy's been idle for far too long. Oh, I hadn't realized you were Archie's mother. However, we're not here about your son. We're investigating the murder of a certain Mario Fortuna and... Papa Mario has been killed? Good heavens! These are grim times for Crimson Banks, Senior Trooper Matthew. First talks of gang war, then stalwart members of the community being murdered. When will this end? Soon, if we have anything to say about it. Do you know of anyone who might have wished Mario dead? I'm afraid not. Now if you'll excuse me, Senior Trooper Matthew, I have security arrangements to attend to. A business owner must protect their own interests in such troubled times. Aha! Matthew, those metal pieces you surmised had fallen from the wheelbarrow advertised an establishment called... advertised an establishment called Luigi Fortuna's Delicatessen. Fortuna? That's our victim's last name. Perhaps this Luigi is a relative of Mario's. Any gamer get the little... what's that word, any connection? Mario, Luigi... I agree, Matthew. We must investigate this delicatessen post-haste. Because I do. Mario, Luigi. Doesn't that sound a little fruity to you? There we go. Look at the state of this establishment, Matthew. A broken window, an upturned chair. This must be where Papa Mario was killed. Mamma mia! Mario was murdered? I was about to report this damage, but now you're saying my brother is dead. I'm afraid so. I take it this is your delicatessen? See, it's a me, Luigi. Mario was my brother. I can't believe he's gone. Please have a seat, Mr. Fortuna. Senior Trooper Matthew will speak to you in a moment. In the meantime, let's secure the delicatessen. If Papa Mario was killed here, there must be clues. One step ahead of me as always, Matthew. That appears to be Mario Fortuna's wallet. I'll leave you to flip through it and see what's inside. That flyer and its headline also feature the victim's likeness, but much of the content has been obscured. It's a fine thing you brought your dusting kit, Matthew. Personally, I hope Luigi's not the killer. Really, I really, really hope he's not the killer. Che tragedia! Who would murder a man like Mario, my poor brother? In our experience, Mr. Fortuna, even the gentlest of souls can be targets of murder. But everyone loved Mario. He was such a kind and generous man. We migrated together from Italy in our youth to build a new life for ourselves. Mario always strived to serve his community while I opened this humble delicatessen. When I came here this morning, I found this damage, but I didn't know Mario had been hurt. I have no idea why he would have been here. But to think he was killed right here in my deli. You have our condolences, Mr. Fortuna, and I assure you, Senior Trooper Matthew will find your brother's killer. Again, I can't stop chuckling over this Mario-Luigi connection. Oh boy. Matthew, I can't make head nor tail of that message on Papa Mario's flyer. Be thus when thou art dead, and I will kill thee. What the devil does that mean? You're right. What is evident is that this was a threat against our victim. We had better send this flyer to Evie. Perhaps she can make sense of it. "3 hours. And the amazing thing is that they really match the colors of everybody so well. Mario in red, Luigi in green, and any lifelong gamer like myself would instantly see that. Splendid work, Matthew. The business card you found in our victim's wallet will surely provide us with a new suspect. This card belongs to a certain Kieran Quinlan. A man of Papa Mario's standing, must have had dealings with all kinds of businessmen. Perhaps this Mr. Quinlan was one of them. Let's seek an audience with Kieran Quinlan and find out. Will this just be enough? Top of the morning. What can I do for you on this fine day? Senior Trooper Matthews investigating the murder of a possible acquaintance of yours, Mr. Quinlan. A Mario Fortuna? Aye, begorra! Surely you're not talking about Papa Mario? I'm afraid we are, Mr. Quinlan. Were you and he associates? Not particularly. I've traded in this district for many years and spoke with him occasionally at formal gatherings, but I didn't really know the man. This is a tragedy for everyone in Crimson Banks. I respected Mr. Fortuna. He's been an integral part of this community for decades. If there's any way I can assist your investigation, Senior Trooper Matthew, don't hesitate to ask. And it will be just enough. I'll let these two run their courses. For now, this is Matthew. See you then. Alright, we have returned, and let's get the results of the threat. Matthew, for once I didn't have to search high and low to find information about that flyer. Viola says, it's a quote from one of my favorite plays. Very well, Viola. Do indulge us. This phrase is taken from a climactic soliloquy from William Shakespeare's Othello. More specifically, it's an excited utterance by Othello himself as he tries to justify the strangling of his wife Desdemona. Strangling? Well, that removes any doubt, Matthew. This message was written by Papa Mario's killer, and they seem to have an affinity for Shakespeare. However, the culprit will have to stage quite a performance to escape your clutches, Matthew. Autopsy just finished. Let's talk to Dick. Far be it from me to express admiration for a killer, Matthew, but sometimes one must give them credit for resourcefulness. I don't understand, Richard. Have you discovered something unusual on the victim's body? You mean apart from the fact that he was strangled with that flag garland? An unconventional murder weapon, I must say. After the initial struggle, the killer then wrapped the victim up in a gruesome display for all to see. Furthermore, given the victim's body temperature and the fact that rigor mortis has set in, I can also confirm Papa Mario was killed last night. A fascinating phenomenon of rigor mortis. Roughly 6 hours after death, the muscles of the human body stiffen up. Papa Mario here is as rigid as a beanpole, indicating he has been dead for about 10 hours. So Papa Mario was killed in the middle of the night. But there's more, Matthew. I found traces of a red substance on the garland, precisely where the killer would have gripped the cord. The killer's blood, perchance? No, pizza sauce. Evidently, the murderer had been eating some before the struggle ensued. A supreme clue, if I ever saw one, Matthew. We're looking for a killer who eats pizza. How ironic, because Mario's a big pizza fan, if any of you have seen the video game and the series. It was bad enough that an Irishman was murdered after Franco Capesci declared war against the Irish. But the death of a pillar of the Crimson Banks community in a public place will no doubt raise tensions even further. By all accounts, Mario Fortuna was an upstanding citizen, adored by his brother Luigi, and highly respected by other members of the Crimson Banks community. If we're to find Papa Mario's killer, I hate to add fuel to the fire, Matthew, but I found something you need to see. There's a secret stash of weapons hidden right here in Crimson Banks. Holy smokes. Alright, I'll see you guys for Chapter 2.
The first show about police banality, Mary, the wage warrior, and the inventor of mass making, the sassy type of...
I'll see you guys for Chapter 2. Alright folks, we have come back. Let's go to Chapter 2 of Civil Blood. Tensions in Crimson Banks are already on a knife edge following the murder of an Irishman. And the extremely public death of a pillar of the Italian community will only escalate matters. I hate to complicate things, Matthew, but I found something you'll want to see. There are weapons hidden in the tunnels underneath Crimson Banks. Hidden weapons? How the devil did you find them, Rose? Well, you can thank Rasputin here, Matthew. We were out getting some oil for his leg when he jumped from my shoulder and scurried down a sewer drain. I followed him through the nearest access hatch, and there he was, proudly standing on a pile of weapons, right there in the tunnel. This is alarming news. An armory hidden underneath Italian territory. I agree, Matthew. We must put our investigation on hold for the moment to examine those tunnels. Flags. There we go. Okay. My word, Rose wasn't exaggerating about those weapons. There are crates of them down here. I see no indications as to whom they belong. Regardless, I agree, Matthew. We cannot leave these here. We'll move them to safety as soon as possible. But wait, what's this you found? Is that a piece of the garland that was wrapped around our victim? This means our killer also came down here. What a stroke of luck, Matthew. What a stroke of luck. Matthew, we must take a sample from this soiled flag immediately. That wrench, on the other hand, looks remarkably clean. Perhaps it was dropped here recently. Deciphering that name may provide an eyewitness. We have our work cut out for us, Matthew, but please do hurry. The stench down here is overpowering. Powering.
Already exceeding $10 billion. For the upcoming special legislative session later this summer, come up with enough funding to finish that project. Now, with the increase, go to general excise tax, or they tap into hotel tax. When it comes to rail, there's all kinds of issues to talk about. Which leads us to this week's Signal Beat segment, focusing on their article,
Mushroom residue. Oh, how ironic. Are those mushrooms, Matthew? How did mushrooms end up on part of the murder weapon? You're correct. Viola can tell us all we need to know about these mushrooms.
land use ordinance. Grand visions of sweet deals for developers. What do they do?
12 hours?
That allows developers to go taller, denser buildings near the rail line. The idea is to help revitalize the urban core and help bring much-needed housing.
Now, with that said, in question, leaving restrictions for developers going to build within what's called the rail code.
Right.
And catalytic buildings. Creative and catalytic.
Bridget.
Well, it's a little unclear, but there have been a couple proposals that came up.
Bridget
so
B.
far. And so far, what we're seeing is that it seems to be big hotels. Last fall, the council approved a concept.
This ranch is the property of a certain Bridget B, Matthew. Whoever this Bridget is, if her tools are down here, she must be around these sewers. Let's seek her out at once.
Housing units.
Now, there's another proposal on the table, the Department of Planning and Permitting, like a 400-foot tall, 444-unit project on Capilani Boulevard across Alamoana Shopping Center. Consider,
All right.
as you mentioned, density, height levels, right?
Yes, the same developer wants to build another condo hotel, and this time they want to have density that's about 4 times.
Hello. What are you doing down here? Sludging around in the sewers? People never venture below the streets unless they have to. I agree with you wholeheartedly, young lady. Bridget, I presume? That's me. Bridget Baker, at your service. Senior Trooper Matthews investigating the murder of Mario Fortuna. Have you seen anyone else down here recently? Murder? I wouldn't know anything about that. And there's nobody down here but me, the rats, and these crates. With regards to these weapons, do you have any idea who they may belong to? With this blasted gang war, I assume it belongs to one of them, but I'm neither Italian nor Irish, so I don't take sides. I know to steer clear of gangsters. I'm just a grubby old sewer rat fixing pipes. Alright, I'll let the mushroom residue run its course. See you when that's done. Alright folks, we've returned. Let's get the results of the mushroom residue now. All the world's a stage, and the men and women merely players. At first the infant mewling and puking in the nurse's arms. Is that another one of your plays, Viola? I never heard that word, puking. It's a term coined by Shakespeare, Isaac. It means to vomit. It's surprising how many words and phrases have their origins in the bard's works. Puking, you say? I doubt the word will catch on, but what does this have to do with that sample Matthew collected out the murder weapon? Because that substance was vomit, or more specifically, regurgitated pizza. How repugnant. We know the killer consumed pizza before the murder, Matthew. Evidently, they didn't keep it down for long, and for good reason. I discovered that the mushrooms were spoiled. Meaning the killer will be feeling the ill effects of a case of food poisoning. Papa Mario's killer may well be feeling poorly, but a queasy stomach will be the least of their worries once you get your hands on them, Matthew. And speaking of Italian food, I suggest we turn to the delicatessen where the victim was murdered. Perhaps there are clues we overlooked. 7 seconds, not bad. You're right, Matthew. That blueprint you've picked up appears to be part of Papa Mario's community development plan, whatever that might be. The plan also mentions a demolition site. Deciphering those symbols along the bottom may offer up more information. Shrewd observation, Matthew. The pattern on this diary is the same as the one on Mr. Quinlan's business card. I'm not inclined to pry into Mr. Quinlan's business, but I agree we should take a look inside. His schedule for this week is barely legible. Let's see if we can retrieve the text. Good thinking, Matthew. I imagine this broken framed photograph was damaged during the scuffle between Papa Mario and his killer. Let's piece it back together. Oh, there we go. Kieran Quinlan was adamant he hardly knew Papa Mario, Matthew, but this schedule notation tells an entirely different story. It's right here in black and white that he met with the victim not 2 days ago. It's time we found out what Mr. Quinlan is trying to hide. See what he has to say. Mr. Quinlan, can you explain why you lied about knowing Mario Fortuna when clearly you had an appointment with the man? Well, we don't have time for games, Mr. Quinlan. Now, what could an Irishman and an Italian have to say to each other in these troubled times? Alright, Papa Mario and I have been meeting, but it was in the interest of peace. Many people in our position are worried about the danger this gang war presents to our businesses. Mr. Fortuna and I wanted to discuss ways we could protect ourselves from the hostilities. So I invited Mario to see my favorite Shakespeare play, Julius Caesar, because I knew he was from Rome, and in return Mr. Fortuna offered to make me one of his world-famous pizzas. We only kept things quiet because not everyone in Crimson Banks is in favor of peaceful resolutions. Be that as it may, Mr. Quinlan, lying to the flying squad during a murder investigation is ill-advised. I swear to you, Senior Trooper Matthew, I'm telling the truth. Now if you'll excuse me, I'm feeling rather green. It must have been something I ate. Seven, 2, 8, 7, 8. Five, 3, 2, 3, 9. Six, 7, 8, 1, 4. Okay. 7. I swear, this thing is so tedious. Why do they not just put it in order? I'm afraid that series of numbers you deciphered on Mario's blueprint isn't particularly telling, Matthew. But I trust Evie will know exactly what to make of them. Let's enter this blueprint, quick, smart. go. That photo is of the victim, Matthew, and he's shaking hands with Mayor Castletown. It stands to reason a man of Mario Fortuna's stature would be acquainted with the mayor. Let's ask him if there's anything he can tell us about the victim. How he knew the victim? Ah, Senior Trooper Matthew, I imagine you're here to talk about the murder of Mario Fortuna. Indeed we are, Mayor Castletown. We understand you knew the man? Yes, we served together on the Concordian City Council, a more faithful and honorable public servant I cannot think of. We lost touch recently, mind you. I have been meaning to invite him over for a pizza, but alas, it's too late for that now. Is there anyone you can think of who might have wanted to harm Papa Mario? Frankly, I have no idea, Senior Trooper Matthew, but I'm confident you'll have this all wrapped up in no time. Don't hesitate to come to me if there's anything I can do. And I'll let the blueprint run its course. For now, this is Matthew. See you then. Alright, we have come back, and let's get the results of the blueprint numbers from Evie. I know you've got your hands full with this investigation, Matthew, but perhaps when you've finished, you'd fancy a game of blackjack? Catherine's been teaching me how to play. I'm becoming a real card shark. It's gratifying to hear you are so happy, Evie, but what does blackjack have to do with the numbers Matthew deciphered on the victim's blueprint? Well, those numbers reference a property development project, the proposed construction of a casino here in Crimson Banks. The proposal is part of Papa Mario's community development scheme, which is designed to revitalize the district. But this particular project is relevant to your investigation, Matthew. The plans indicate that Papa Mario was so intent on building the casino, he was planning to demolish Luigi's delicatessen. Destroying the establishment of his own brother? I have to admit that sounds rather cold-hearted, Matthew. I wonder how Luigi Fortuna felt about these plans. Let's ask him and find out. Senior Trooper Matthew, have you captured Mario's killer yet? I hardly touched my pizza at lunch. I've been so distraught. We're closing in on the culprit, Mr. Fortuna, but we're rather curious about this blueprint we found. It seems your brother intended to build a casino on your property? Porxa miseria, put that wretched thing away. I take it you were not in agreement with your brother's plans. Ha! Papa Mario and his hallowed redevelopment plan, he wanted to tear down this deli and build that monstrosity. He had no regard for my simple shop or anyone else. That's hardly the picture you painted of your brother the first time we spoke to you. Bah! I did not wish to speak ill of the dead, but Mario was as crooked as Hamlet's Uncle Claudius. Calculating, ambitious, manipulating everyone to serve his own ends. He was willing to destroy my dream, everything I have worked for, all in the pursuit of wealth. My own brother, well, all that greed and ambition achieved for Mario was an early grave. A high-profile Italian murdered and displayed for all to see, and not one but two crime scenes. I don't know about you, Matthew, but this investigation feels like it's getting out of hand. Not to mention the cache of weapons hidden in the sewers, probably by one of the gangs. For now, despite having a plethora of suspects, we're no closer to finding Papa Mario's killer. If Kieran Quinlan is to be believed, both he and Papa Mario were staunch advocates for peace between the Italian and Irish gangs. While Mayor Castletown, a former colleague of the victim, had nothing but praise and admiration for the man. However, Luigi Fortuna had every reason to murder his brother, furious that Papa Mario would callously seek the destruction of his beloved delicatessen. If I were a betting man, I'd wager... Matthew, I'm really sorry. I try to keep everyone away from the crime scene as long as I could, but the market vendors won't listen to reason. If you don't get back to the crime scene immediately, there will be nothing left of it. Say what? We'll get to Chapter 3 and stop those people after this. Okay, folks, we have come back, and let's start Chapter 3 of Civil Blood. A high-profile Italian murdered and publicly displayed at 2 crime scenes. This investigation feels like it's getting out of hand, Matthew. Not to mention the cache of weapons hidden in the sewers, probably by one of the gangs. And despite a plethora of suspects, we're no closer to finding Papa Mario's killer. Matthew, you must return to the marketplace immediately. I kept the stallholders away from the crime scene as long as I could, but they won't listen to reason. If those impatient vendors start trampling all over our evidence, Matthew, there will be nothing left. We must put a stop to this now. What's the holdup here? We've got fresh produce rotting in the sun, and you lot are dragging your feet. Pardon me? Senior Trooper Matthew is conducting a murder investigation. You will just have to remain patient until this matter is concluded. Well, fly squad or not, you'd better hurry up. We can't wait all day. Perish the thought of taking orders from a market vendor, Matthew. But I'm afraid that fellow is correct. The longer this investigation takes, the harder it will be to keeping people off our crime scenes. I propose, therefore, we make another sweep of this one, leaving nothing in this market unturned. We must find more clues. I'm under unlimited energy happy hour. Oh, I'm definitely not getting the first star now. Another look around this market has paid off, Matthew. I see you found some new clues. Finding a whiskey bottle during Prohibition is suspicious enough, but someone wrote a message on the label. I warned you about selling this. You're right, the initials MF imply this message was written by the victim. The bottle's serial number is barely legible, but I'm sure that won't be a problem for you, Matthew. First we find weapons hidden in the sewers, and now a box of bullets in the street. Perhaps a sample of that blue substance will tell us where this came from. And newspapers are a marvelous source of information. Let's piece this torn article together and see what it reveals. Gonna take care of everything now, get some stars, and then... hopefully I can accomplish a lot. Look at the headline on this newspaper article, Matthew. Castletown must resign. I dare say Mario Fortuna looks particularly angry. How peculiar. I cannot remember hearing about this. Nevertheless, you are right, Matthew. Mayor Castletown claimed he and Papa Mario were on good terms, which is clearly not the case. Let's ask him why the victim demanded he step down from office. Oh, you're back, Senior Trooper Matthew. Unfortunately, I don't think I have anything useful that would further your investigation into Papa Mario's murder. Is that so, Mayor Castletown? Not even the fact that he demanded your resignation? Oh, where did you find that? Not that it matters. That was months ago, when I got re-elected for a second term. Fortuna got it into his head that I had somehow rigged the votes in my own favor. Poppycock. Every time it's been called into question, my conduct was proven to be above reproach, Senior Trooper Matthew. Like Shakespeare's Prince Aeschylus, I'm a peacemaker, not a murderer. Well, it appears Mario hadn't forgotten, and I'm afraid a grudge, even old, has led more righteous men to murder. Perfect. Those digits you've decoded from that whiskey bottle should help us trace its origins, Matthew. And given the victim's message written on the label, trace it we must. Let's send the serial number to Evie. Okay. Matthew, let's put that blue sample you've collected from that box of bullets under the microscope. Quick, smart. Plumbing liquid. Matthew, that blue substance soaked into that box of bullets is a mixture of potassium hydroxide and sulfuric acid, which appears to be common ingredients of drain cleaner. Of course, just the type of chemical a plumber would employ, and we happen to have such a person among our suspects. Bridget Baker assured us she stayed well clear of those weapons, but it's obvious she pilfered those bullets. Let's find out if there's more to this than petty theft. Oh, it's food poisoning, okay. Pardon me, Miss Baker. You claimed you had no interest in the gang war, nor these concealed weapons, and yet we know you were in possession of bullets, no doubt taken from these sewers. Ugh, you sound just like Papa Mario. He caught me trying to sell those bullets after I took them. Plumbing doesn't pay much, Senior Trooper Matthew. I gotta make a shilling somehow. Papa Mario accused me of working for the gangs and threatened to lock me up unless I told him where the bullets came from. But I didn't want to get caught up in all of that. And just how far would you have gone to keep yourself out of trouble? Look, if anyone is a criminal, it's Mario's brother, Luigi. Some mozzarella he sold made me sick as a dog. He said I was lying, but I could see he was sick too. I sincerely hope you're not lying to us, Miss Baker. The penalty for murder is a lot harsher than petty theft. Well, now he's in the running. Luigi, that is. I do hope he's not the killer. And I'm gonna get some stars. Actually, you know what? I'm not gonna get some stars. I'm gonna speed this up. I know you're racing the clock, Matthew, so I shan't dawdle. And the sooner we can get that whiskey out of Maddie's reach, the better. The serial number corresponds to a warehouse on the Crimson Bank's docks. Moreover, I cross-checked the owner of this warehouse, and it belongs to Veronica Rochester. Veronica Rochester? She mentioned she was concerned about safeguarding her warehouses in the face of a violent gang war. Now we know why. And if Papa Mario had discovered she was illegally distributing prohibited alcohol, that gives her a strong motive for murder. We must confront Mrs. Rochester about this. Senior Trooper Matthew, must we do this now? I'm rather green around the gills. I think this morning's milk was off. I'm afraid this cannot wait, Mrs. Rochester. Senior Trooper Matthew found this whiskey of yours, which you appear to be unlawfully selling. I'm doing nothing of the sort. That was just Mario getting on his high horse about prohibition. I'm only storing those bottles, not selling them. I worked hard to integrate into the Crimson Banks community. I enjoy a good pizza as much as anyone, and I know what the people want. Prohibition won't last forever, and when it's over, people will be begging for a drink. As Shakespeare wrote, I will give all my fame for a pot of ale. I was distributing alcohol long before it was outlawed, so I'll be damned if I'm throwing away my stock of 25-year-old whiskey. Madam, Senior Trooper Matthew had better not find any of your whiskey again, and if you murdered Papa Mario to keep him off your back, prohibition will be the least of your worries. Despite his impeccable reputation in Crimson Banks, it appears Papa Mario is making waves. He demanded the resignation of Mayor Castletown, accusing him of electoral impropriety, while claiming Veronica Rochester was illegally distributing prohibited whiskey. The victim also threatened to report Bridget Baker's petty thefts, suspecting she had gang affiliations. Frankly, Matthew, any one of them could be Papa Mario's killer. But we need proof. And although I'm revolted by the prospect, we're certain the killer was down in the sewers. So let's have at it, Matthew. Keen observation, Matthew. The color on that shard of glass is consistent with the emblem of Luigi's delicatessen. This must be from the window that broke during the murder, meaning it was left here by Papa Mario's killer. Let's collect a sample of those fibers caught along that jagged edge. Perhaps they will offer us a definitive lead. But surely you're not seriously considering looking through this junk. Who knows what might be in there? Well, yes, I agree. This is precisely the place a killer might discard evidence, but... Very well, Matthew. Rummage through sludge we shall. But hurry, it shan't be long before Papa Mario's killer is in our grasp. Book. You found a copy of Othello buried under this sewer junk, Matthew? How the devil did it end up there? But of course, you're right. We know our killer reads Shakespeare. In fact, if we look inside... Yes! Look, Matthew. The very same quote sent to our victim has been circled. This book must belong to the killer. Let's dispatch this book to Viola for a closer examination of that stain. It may be a vital lead to trap our culprit. threads. Perfect job as always, Matthew. Let's get those threads you collected from the window shard to Viola on the double. And I got some stars to collect. See you then. Alright folks, we've come back. Let's get the results of the book. I hope you haven't spent all this time simply reading that copy of Othello, Viola. Matthew is running out of time. Honestly, Isaac, I'm nothing if not a professional. I must point out, however, the travesty of disposing of such a marvelous piece of literature in a pile of sewer trash. Viola, please! Of course, about that stain. The substance in question is a mixture of detergent soap and rubbing alcohol. An unusual combination, one might think, except these are the common ingredients one would use to polish gold jewelry. Marvelous work, Matthew. We're looking for a killer wearing a gold accessory. The dastardly culprit will soon find out all that glitters is not gold. Have you worked out how those fibers ended up on that glass shard, Matthew? No? Well, I have. As you already know, the killer and your victim fought, which is probably how the window got broken in the first place. Well, I wager the glass got caught in your killer's clothing when he hoisted the body into the wheelbarrow. We appreciate your narrative, Viola, but that doesn't really tell us anything new. Patience, Isaac. Those fibers you collected don't come from just any piece of clothing. These threads are a specific weave of satin, commonly used to line hats. A capital conclusion, Matthew. A killer wearing a hat should be elementary to spot. This investigation has been a complex puzzle of misdeed and misdirection, Matthew. But you've put all the pieces together. Time to fetch the shackles and arrest Papa Mario's killer. Nope, it's not Veronica Rochester. It's not Luigi Fortuna. It's Karen Quinlan, I think. Yes, it is. Karen Quinlan, you're under arrest for the murder of Papa Mario Fortuna. Ay, Begorra, why would I kill Mario? He and I may be from opposite banks of the river, but we were the same in many ways. I bet you thought you'd get away with it, but you were sloppy, Mr. Quinlan. We found the pizza sauce you left behind on the murder weapon. Pizza? You realize everyone eats pizza around here? It's a nice change from shepherd's pie. But this particular meal made you ill. We know you were sick on the flag garland you strangled the victim with. Well, I was sick, but I swear it was bad clams. Your love of Shakespeare was your final undoing. We know you threatened Papa Mario, justifying yourself after strangling him. Make it easy on yourself, Mr. Quinlan. Confess your crime. Ha! Killing Mario Fortuna was a crime? The only crime around here was that man and his almighty reputation. For years, Mario thought he was better than me. It was always Papa Mario this and Papa Mario that. I've worked just as hard for this community, and what do I get for it? Nothing. So I figured it was time to bring Mario down a notch, for good. You murdered Papa Mario out of jealousy? A petty grudge? Call it what you like. We arranged to meet for dinner at Luigi's, under the guise of keeping the peace. When he had his back turned, I strangled him with those flags. Then I wheeled his body to the market so Mario would be remembered not as a cornerstone of the community, but as a weak, pathetic victim. What a tremendous waste of life, Mr. Quinlan, both the victim's and yours. You're under arrest for the murder of Mario Fortuna. You should be ashamed of yourself, Mr. Quinlan, extinguishing the life of one of this community's brightest lights out of pure spite. Here we go again, putting Papa Mario up on a pedestal. In case you've forgotten, Your Honor, the man is dead. Because you murdered him. Have you no remorse? My only regret was eating that pizza of his. It made me sick as a dog, but I'm proud I killed a man. I'd yell it from the rooftops if I could. That won't be necessary. You can yell it from your jail cell. I hereby sentence you to 25 years in prison. That's a small price to pay for putting Mario in his proper place. Spiffing work bringing Mario Fortuna's killer to justice, Matthew. Hopefully everyone will stop phoning me now. My ears are aching from all of the chatter. But while you've determined Papa Mario's murder is in no way connected to the gang war, your discovery of a hidden stash of weapons in the heart of Italian territory is concerning. Do the Italians intend on escalating this conflict, or is this part of some clandestine Irish operation? We must uncover the truth. Chief Wright, I have grave news. Seamus O'Neil has escaped from prison. Uh-oh. Bridget Baker, clear from the start. Cornelius Castletown, cleared early after clue 3. Veronica Rochester, no gold jewelry. Luigi Fortuna, no hats. There was Kieran Quinlan. I'm glad it wasn't Luigi. I'll see you guys for a plague on both your houses 2-6. Alright folks, we've returned. Let's start a plague on both your houses 2-6. Botheration! More paperwork! How could Vittorio Capesci's killer possibly escape from custody? Clearly he's been aided by someone, but where would he go? Matthew's right. Seamus must be looking for Giulietta. Although he killed her father, his love for her remains. But this is madness. The Italians will kill Seamus on sight. Whatever his intentions, Matthew, you must return Seamus to custody. Those hidden weapons in the sewers are our best lead on either gang. I don't care if we have to open every crate down there, Matthew. Just find me a lead. Matthew, I wanted to ask you for something, but I see you're busy. What is it, Charles? I wondered if Matthew might accompany me to talk to Viola for an experiment I'm conducting, but Matthew will join you in Viola's lab after finishing up in the sewers. Now, everybody out. I have a headache coming on. Go. Bell, shirt, exit, knife. Personally, I'm glad it wasn't. I mean, I would hate for a brother to go to jail, even if it wouldn't be the first time. Great Scott, Matthew! That crate wasn't here before. Someone's been creeping around this tunnel. If these weapons are actually connected to the gangs, perhaps opening this crate will give us some clue as to Seamus' whereabouts. With that in mind, let's have a look inside. Let's have it that lock. C9G, XN2. Perfect. That document you found in that crate appears to be an inventory. There are enough weapons here to supply an army right underneath Crimson Bank's Italian quarter. But more importantly, the message written at the bottom is Gaelic, meaning these weapons belong to the Irish. Whether or not Seamus is involved with this, we cannot sit idly by. Let's have Evie translate this message to determine what we're dealing with. What a surprise, Matthew. You haven't sent me any lab samples to analyze. Actually, Viola, it's you who might be able to supply a sample for us. I've hit a roadblock with some research and I believe you can help. I have a theory that certain ailments are inherited from our ancestors, passed down from generation to generation. And seeing that you suffer from a peanut allergy, you thought I would be a suitable test subject. I love the idea. Tell me what you need. Well, a strand of one of your parents' hair or some skin cells that I could run through my DNA machine to obtain their genetic coding. I have just the thing. One of my father's gloves is right here in my bag. Tarnation, I've misplaced my bag, Matthew. Oh, I remember. I've left it at Luigi's Delicatessen. It's next to my theater class. I do hope it's still there. Fear not, Viola. Matthew and I shall retrieve your bag and your father's glove. Well, if you do find it at Luigi's, Matthew, dinner is on me. Moment, folks. Okay. There's Viola's purse. Heavens, this establishment has seen better days, Matthew, but Luigi Fortuna should have things back in order in no time. No point bothering Viola again, Matthew. I'm sure you can find her father's glove inside her bag. Okay. Glove. You found a glove inside Viola's bag, as she said we would. There's no doubt this glove belongs to her father. Come to my lab in a few hours, Matthew. I'll show you my results. 6 hours? Yes. Okay. And I will let these two run their courses. See y'all then. Alrighty, we have returned. Weapon inventory has yet to run its course, so I'm going to get the results of the glove first. I'm sorry, Matthew, but I'm afraid my experiment might be a disappointment. I don't think the glove we found belongs to Viola's father after all. You see, it's been proven that people from the same family share common genetic traits. That's what my DNA machine does. It translates this genetic coding. Therefore, I gathered skin cells from inside the glove, ran them through my machine, and compared the results to the sample of Viola's skin cells. But the thing is, the samples don't match. Clearly, we got the wrong glove. Either that or Viola and her father are not actually related, haha. Which is obviously ridiculous. I'm sorry to waste more of your time, Matthew, but could you come with me to ask Viola for another sample? Charlie, I trust my father's glove was suitable for your experiments? Well, not exactly. It appears this glove does not belong to your father. Why, of course it does. He was the one who gave it to me to mend. But that makes no sense. What's the matter, Charlie? What did your experiments say about my father? That's the trouble. I ran skin cells from the glove through my DNA machine, and it showed the owner was not related to you in any way. Nonsense! Clearly that contraption of yours is wrong. I'm afraid it's not. I ran the test 3 times. If this glove really belongs to your father, then he's not actually your biological father. That's ridiculous. Of course my father is my biological father. He raised me. I will perform those tests again and prove you're wrong. Good day. Matthew, I'm certain my results were correct. Viola's father just cannot be her biological dad. I'm afraid no amount of testing will change that. I hope she will be okay. Yeah, I hope so too. Any progress with that message Matthew found in that weapons crate, Evie? Indeed, I have translated that Gaelic at the bottom of the inventory, and the result is troubling. The message reads, "Everything is in order, lads. The time to strike is almost at hand." Good heavens! It seems that our fears have been confirmed. The Irish gang is planning some sort of attack in Crimson Banks. I'm afraid that's not the worst of it, Matthew. What could possibly be more concerning than that, Diego? Well, not only does this message confirm the Irish are preparing to retaliate, I have analyzed the handwriting and the message was written by Seamus O'Neil. Seamus wrote this message? I thought his devotion to Giulietta outweighed any interest in the gang war. But now that he's escaped, it's clear his interests lie within the conflict. I agree, Matthew. It's imperative we find Seamus now more than ever. If Seamus was down in those sewers, perhaps Bridget Baker saw him. Let's return to the tunnel and follow his trail. Back again, Matthew? If your partner didn't look so utterly revolted, I'd swear you were looking to become a plumber. Nothing is further from our minds, Miss Baker. We're tracking the whereabouts of an individual who delivered a crate here, and... You mean that fair-haired fellow? So you did see Seamus O'Neil. I don't know his name, but there was an Irishman messing about with those crates, so I hid in one of the other tunnels. I told you before, I don't want to get involved. Your prudence is commendable, Miss Baker. That man is an escaped murderer with affiliations to the Irish gang. Did you see what he was doing or where he went? I didn't see anything, but he muttered something about heading to the marketplace. The marketplace? Surely Seamus wouldn't be so brazen as to show his face in the heart of Italian territory. Nevertheless, we must follow the leads where they take us, Matthew. Let's make haste to the market before we lose O'Neill's trail. You're looking a little flat after being down here, Senior Trooper Matthew. This'll pep you up. Lighter. Blast! I see no sign of Seamus, Matthew, but if that lighter you've picked up is any indication, we cannot be far behind. This insignia is typical of the Irish gang. If we dust those fingerprints, we'll discover who this lighter belongs to. Perhaps someone who knows Seamus's whereabouts. Let's see. Will I have to wait again? Here we go. Good show, Matthew. Let's compare those fingerprints you retrieved from that lighter to our archives. With any luck, we shall find a match. But we must hurry. Seamus is on the run. Adriana Brazier. Those fingerprints belong to Adriana Brazier? The last we heard, Adriana was spying on Vittorio Capesci for the Irish gang. It seems she's now in Crimson Banks. Agreed, Matthew. We must find Miss Brazier at once. Well, Miss Brazier, I see you traded the saloons of Coyote Gorge for the streets of Crimson Banks. I assume you're still working with the Irish? Well, it's not my main occupation. I like to get more physical, if you know what I mean. I believe we do. In any case, we're after the whereabouts of Seamus O'Neil, who we've been informed has escaped. You wouldn't happen to have seen him. Obviously, he's in charge now. He knows the good practice to keep tabs on his employees. I beg your pardon? Are you saying Seamus is the new leader of the Irish gang? Why do you think the gang broke him out? Seamus did them a great service, killing Vittorio. He's exactly the person we need. This is dire, Matthew. Where is Seamus now, Miss Brazier? You must tell us immediately. You don't honestly expect me to talk. I'm sorry, Senior Trooper Matthew, but that's all you'll get from me. And I suppose you'll be wanting to confiscate this, too. Not only have the whereabouts of Seamus O'Neil eluded us, Matthew, but it appears he's abandoned his undying love for Giulietta in order to lead the strike against her family. Matthew, these are great tidings indeed. I shall prepare a report for the chief. I shall see you back on the airship. I just saw Viola leaving her lab, Matthew, and she seemed distraught. I wonder if anything is wrong. Unfortunately, we have more pressing concerns. Your investigation into the whereabouts of Seamus O'Neil has revealed he has assumed control of the Irish gang, taking Finlay Flanagan's place as leader. And even though we've confiscated that stash of weapons, the Irish are clearly planning to strike. Matthew, we just received a call. Commissioner Baldwin's body has been found on the docks. What? His body? What do you... He's been murdered. Oh my goodness. July 6th. That's a Thursday. Two new ones. Four new ones. Another four. Okay. Yep, I finished the whole page on this one. Still need quite a few more. Okay, that's going to do. And I'll see you guys for another case. I might do one in elite mode during the week, but we'll see. See y'all then.